everyone that's here, as well as connecting with people in your city, that if whatever you're doing has a message or you're interested in finding more information, you can find a plethora of people everywhere that are on a similar journey with yourself, and you can explore and go and see some of those people. What's driven me and Christina to do this in here is literally that we truly do believe that you can make a difference in what you're doing. You don't have to make huge, big impacts and huge waves, but if you're in business or you're looking to be in business, from whatever walks of life, what you're able to do can make a big difference. And that's one of the reasons why we invite people like Sam down. One of the reasons why all of the speakers that we've got are doing more than just what they do inside their business. We link everything that we do to the UN Global Goals. 17 initiatives which are designed to produce a better world and make a better world. All of our talks are linked within those global goals. So you never stop learning, whatever you're doing, and how and when and why we pull these thoughts together enables you to learn something from the person that's on stage, that's sharing their story. But most importantly, it's the people around you that you're going to learn from. And that's the real community driven that we're looking to achieve. That's why we put them on. So we've changed the format this time a little bit. Rather than spending more time talking about what's happening globally, it really is about bringing the people on stage to share their stories so we can start to open the floor and ask some questions. So I would like you all to put your hands together and give a warm, wondering applause to Sam Jones. I did have, by the way, everyone, I did have like the faces of Sam Jones, and I found about 30 of them, all in different guises, but I stripped it down to 4.
It's mainly just sort of how bad I am at choosing haircuts.
The guy on number 2, sorry, the guy on number 3, I actually didn't think it was you. I thought that was Google, like saying, "You mean? Did you mean this man?" And that's when Nate's looking at me.
That's what that way.
Well, thank you very much for joining us now. Anyway,
No worries, my pleasure.
So there'll be. Actually, this is interesting. Is anyone aware of or heard of Sam Jones or Tuna Fish? So only a couple. Okay, so for everyone that's not here, just before we go into history, what is Tuna Fish in a nutshell?
Yeah, so basically we're a marketing agency. In its simplest form, we specialise in 2 things, which are video production, that ranges from TV adverts down to small web stuff, and social media. I think we've kind of built our reputation on stuff going viral over the last couple of years, so there's a lot of stunts and stuff in there as well.
Cool. All right, thank you very much. So every story has a beginning, and I don't kind of know your story a little bit, so I'm interested. Way back before you were in business, I suppose you're going back to school. Were you a good boy in school?
I was a bit of a strange one. Where I was decent, but I was mischievous as well, and I think that's sort of followed into business a bit. So yeah, I'm originally from Failsworth. Does anyone know it? Yeah, it's like we can get there on foot from here in about 25 minutes if we wanted to, which I'm not suggesting. It's a weird place where it's basically it's a no man's land between Manchester and Oldham, where Oldham Council say that's in Manchester, Manchester City Council say that's in Oldham, like no one wants to claim it for some reason.
So that means nothing.
yeah, it's just like it's just one of the places where you go to school and you tend to get a job in a trade or something.
Okay, cool. So then, leaving school, what's your sort of journey from leaving high school through to? Did you carry on education?
Yeah, so basically, I knew from quite a young age that I wanted to work in media or marketing. I just didn't really know what that looked like. So when I was 15, I got a job in hospital radio at Oldham Hospital. By the time I was 16, I was working for BBC Radio Manchester and Q103 in Manchester. Went to college as well as that. And then went to uni at Salford, did a degree in TV and radio production. And whilst I was there, I was basically working full time in radio for various stations in Manchester. It was a bit of a weird one where it was mainly production roles, but about 10 years ago in radio, for some reason, there was this trend. I think we started like and smiles where if you was in the building, you was on my head. So you didn't, you know what I mean, like that. So like you'd have your presenter.
Like a microphone.
Yeah, but like you'd have your presenter, but we'd have everyone in the studio and voices answering all over. So that was interesting. Did that. Went to uni, graduated. Whilst I was in my final year, social media started becoming a thing. So MySpace, Friends Reunited really started sort of taking off. And I was working at Q103 at the time, and the head of the station come into like the room and was like, "Oh, we need to get on social media." Looked around the room. I had like skinny jeans and I had like big blonde hair at the time. I looked like,
did you wear jean jackets as well?
Yeah, I looked like all of McFly raised the child. and then so basically he was like, "Right, your job's social media because like you look like you sort of know that." I've done it now. So yeah, so I ended up basically putting these radio stations on social media and just like instantly fell in love with it. Finished uni, had this sort of radio career open up, and just decided I didn't really want to do it.
Were you actually the person that was on the radio then?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was the main presenter, but as I was saying at the time, you'd be like asking questions to everyone, so you'd hear me in the back like, "Oh," do you know what I mean?
Oh, now I understand what you mean. So the guy that's on the radio, everyone else is in the production suite still.
He's still chipping in, yeah. I did the like traffic and travel.
So can I answer that? Because I'm really curious. Because you also practice it. Because at some point, radio went from old school, I'm not even going to try and attempt it, the way they spoke, to more relaxed. So can you practice, and did you ever do?
Well, my thing is that I'm the most monotone person you could ever meet, and my voice never changes. So they used to be sort of like, "Why is that guy doing traffic?" You know what I mean? Someone's already in a tailback, you don't need to listen to it. But yeah, it was just one of the things. But yeah, I think.
Can you do an intro?
I've got the same voice.
Okay. We'll see you later on. See you later on.
That's about as good as it gets.
And in other news, the M25.
Yeah, and it's just like, that roundabout shit.
We decided a while ago that they should just have set things to say, this morning we're not going to talk about the M1 and the M4 and the M25 because they're always busy at this time.
Yeah.
So if you're on them, you pretty much know what the news is anyway. And in other news...
Well, my thing is I don't actually drive, so they were all like fictional places to me. I was like, the A604 is 10. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, so I suppose towards the end of that, then that's touching on where they forced you, voluntold you into saying you're now the social media man.
Yeah, pretty much. And like honestly, like instantly fell in love with it and grew the channels quite quickly. Got a bit too into the sort of technical side of it, and then left uni. There's like various radio sort of opportunities. Decided I didn't really want to do that. I think the thing for me at the end of the day, like I'd already worked for 6 years at this point. I was only 21, but at the end of the day, I just kind of thought like radio was sitting in a room talking to yourself, not very good for anyone listening. It's kind of madness. So basically from there, I got on a graduate scheme for a year, which was working in agencies, which was really good. And I thought that was like the sort of golden ticket into the world of marketing. And then during that time, the recession happened, and you come out and there wasn't really any entry-level job. So my background was social. The two business partners now, they were video guys. They were having the same sort of problems getting jobs, like video opportunities. So we kind of just started an agency and really didn't much of it. So started Tuna Fish, 22. I think it just turned 22.
So I actually don't know the answer to this question.
I know the question.
Right, and I've always been curious. People have asked me, and I've kind of made up various answers.
Yeah.
So why
is it called
Tuna Fish?
Yeah. So
there's loads of ways. There's loads of different reasons.
And it's a bit of a boring answer to it. So like naming a business with two other people is really hard because one of you will like something and the other two will hate it, and then everything was set up and we just didn't have a name. So basically my business partner, Rick, he, at the time, ate tuna for every meal of every day. Right? We had a small office, it stunk all the time. It was really bad. He stopped doing it now because he's ready in the garden. You can get milky poisoning, which is good.
That must be true.
Well, yeah. Well, it was funny because I can remember him reading the article because I'd sent it and he was sat next to me. And he was eating like 12, 15 pounds a week, right? Honestly, I'm talking every meal of every day. And this article was like, if you eat more than 3 cans a week, seriously, yeah, so you saw it. So basically, what happened was we was going through names for ages and ages. One of our friends had a screening at the corner house from the old cinema. And in the corner house, like, he's sat on each of his knee and it's a bit tight. And I'm sat there and I'm like, smell fish. And everyone's eating popcorn. And you turn around and there's like 2 rows behind me with like the biggest tube of baguette you've ever seen. And then we was like, oh, we'll call it that. And then, yeah, we probably wish we did.
That's good though.
Yeah, so that's yeah.
So then, so you started this, so your 2 business partners is Rick and Monica. Yeah. Me and Christina go for a walk every morning, and there's a really big building on a playing field, the sort of one that keeps all the sports stuff inside that everyone wants to break into and can't. I keep meaning to send this every morning, and someone's written, it's got 4 big brick alcoves, and it just says, it literally brick to brick, it says Macca.
Yeah, it's probably
and I keep going on like,
because that's the only way you can spell as well.
Is it? Really big, bold, wax letters. So I was like, I don't know how many people call it Macca. I thought, I wonder where it was brought up. So I'm going to take a photo on there and go, I did that tomorrow, yeah. Okay. So you started that then, I'm guessing, sometime around 2007 or 8? 2010. Okay, after. So yeah, I think the marketing industry locally struggled to pick up as quick as they wanted. So when did Media City start coming into Manchester? 13? Like that?
Oh, it's 10 years ago, yeah. This week.
Yeah, I think that was from the announcement, because what was quite
It wasn't this 10 years ago, was it?
Well, basically, when we left uni, because we went to Salford Uni, we was in this building called the Delphi Building, which is just off Chapel Street, and it was mad. Like, I walked around every day for 3 years, and I couldn't still find it there. Do you know what I mean? And then, like, literally 2 years after we moved, we were like, we're moving to Media City, and the BBC's next door, and there's this big, beautiful building. So that was quite frustrating.
So you started the business then, you've got a couple of business partners. I mean, one of the things that drew myself to you once I first met you a couple of years ago was what you were doing behind the scenes, which is obviously a lot of stuff to do with cyclists, a lot of stuff to do with homelessness, and feeding people around Manchester. This was a long time before. I don't want to say homelessness is a big thing right now, but it certainly getting far more media coverage than it ever used to. How do you go from kind of running a stinky media agency with 2 friends to feeding people? You didn't feed them tuna, did you?
No. So yeah, sort of gap. I'll be perfectly honest. Like, we started a business in a way that I wouldn't recommend to anyone. So we was probably a bit too young. We had no cash, and we started without really thinking about the consequences. Like, none of us had mortgages, none of us had kids, so we were like, we've got nothing to lose. We're a business, and the first 2 years were a disaster. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. So basically, what we do is we work 9 to 5 on the business, not pay ourselves. To be honest, we didn't have clients, so we just kind of spend every day just getting technically good at the services we were offering. We work 6 to 12 on a pub called the Juicy Bridge, which is about 200 yards on the other side of Victoria Station. It's been knocked down to tomorrow, which is quite upsetting. So we worked 6 to 12 on the bar there, and then we lived above the pub together, because we got the other on. It was like a horrific 24-hour sitcom. It was just free all the time. And we did that for a while, and then started picking up some clients. And then after about 18 months, we did a campaign for a charity called Forever Manchester. Have you heard of it? Has anyone? No. So basically, they're the community group foundation for Manchester. So they raise money, but there's 10,000 community groups ranging from like junior football teams to old people reading clubs, and they give them the support they need. So we did a campaign for them called Captain Manchester, which was a guerrilla marketing campaign where at the time Kick-Ass was big, you know, the film. And off the back of that, there was quite a lot of vigilantes in real life.
Really?
So yeah, we did loads of research. There was a guy in London called Angle Brand, and basically if someone had been clamped, he was cutting it off in chains for them. Brilliant. And like,
it's not what you think.
yeah.
Someone being killed. 1 second, I'm just taking this.
Yeah. So like, basically, like Forever Manchester's ethos is like the building communities within. It's like nice to be nice. So we created this character basically where it was the first time I've ever like sewn myself. Like I'd made this really bad homemade outfit, and my mate was on garden leave at the time, and I didn't go around Manchester doing good deeds.
Dressed up.
Yeah, paying people's parking vans, helping people carry stuff, doing loads of stuff, and then he was documenting it on Twitter like he was a real person. And we had one we give him a backstory, which was like he was doing this because he loved Manchester, and like his girlfriend didn't know that's why he wore a mask. Basically, if the press tried talking to him, he just told him to go on. And basically, if you tell the press they can't speak to something, it leads to like, he was like 15 newsmans chasing him down these days every day. And that made the press in like 70 countries, 200 million impressions online in a month. The campaign budget was like really tight. Charity that we announced that it was for charity, they made loads of money. The volunteering went up massively. And basically, off the back of that, we won every market award you can pretty much win in the UK. And it was like, we was going to awards dues and like beating Saatchi, but they had like my dad's suit on and watch. It was really weird. And then from there, the phone started ringing, started picking up clients, the business started growing. But when we started, we kind of decided that there was three things we wanted to do. The first was like push boundaries with the work we do, which I think we've done. The second was create somewhere that we want to work, and if we ever get staff that they want to work as well. And three, contribute to the community. So what we did after that campaign, we'd actually all spent time volunteering for Forever Manchester before that, but we donated equity to the charity. So every year we give a percentage of our profits. If we ever sold, we'll get the 7%. And then basically we started growing, kept it quite small for a bit. I didn't feel like I was ready to manage people. And then a couple of years ago we started growing, we've got 15, 16 now. That's all good that I get that right straight away. So yeah, and basically
you can always think about whether you include you or not.
Yeah. It's one of them where it was really weird because we didn't feel as ready to manage people. We went from 3 to 5, so it was 3 of us to 5. We did that for about a year and a half, and then from like January last year, we went from 5 to 12, like in 3 weeks, which was really weird. And then we've stayed there for ages, and we've just moved office, so we just started hiring again. But we give everyone in the business, because what happened was when we started, it was like we'll give everyone in the business half a day a week to volunteer at Forever Manchester because we love that charity. But then you realise quite quickly that they're probably not as passionate about it as you are. So we give everyone time to do their own thing, whatever that is. There's people doing loads of stuff. So about 18 months ago, I've always been interested in trying to do something charitable that costs nothing to run. You read like newspaper stories about like charities that have got like slides and stuff. You know, where's the money going? So basically,
slides.
Yeah.
Slides.
Oh yeah, no, like I think it was like NSBCC in London or something. We've got like a slide, and like there's loads of it. Do you know what I mean? So it was like homelessness at the time was starting to get bad. It's nowhere near what it is now. I imagine they've all probably walked past a couple of homeless people to get it. So we had this idea. So at Tuna Fish, we've got quite a lot of food and drink clients. My mate runs a restaurant in the Northern Quarter, and between us and him and this other guy we know, we come up with this idea where homelessness in Manchester, there's loads of grassroots organisations that do really brilliant stuff. And there's one of them called Coffee for Free, who do like coffee kitchens. And they do the coffee kitchens, but when you're there, they can find you a bed, they can do the interaction with the council that you need to do to get support. They can pretty much do anything for you. So but like getting, it only really works if there's loads of homeless people there, because it's only viable if you get them all together. And as you can imagine, it's kind of like herding cats anyway. So basically what we did was we started this thing called Not Just Soup, and but it's quite a simple concept that each week a different restaurant cooks for the homeless. And there's 2 rules really. The first one is it can't be soup, because these guys are eating soup all the time. And secondly, it can't be like scraps in the kitchen. It's got to be like freshly cooked meat. So we did that. So basically, each week, different restaurant comes to bring the food. Got some sort of what I think are the better restaurants in Manchester. So pork, small cooked stuff like I would say, you're vegetarian, so that's nothing to do.
Not a steak.
Yeah, there's like pork smokes, there's like a steak and then a hot smokes. So and like Australasia and neighbourhood places like that. And basically they'll bring the food down because the food's great, word spread quite quickly, the numbers are quite big, and that allows the other support to do what they need to do essentially. So that's done. It passed 20,000 meals last week actually. So that's been 20,000 meals.
2, 3 years, 18 months.
Between 18 months and 2 years, yes. Yeah, just under 2 years, I reckon, which is good. It's expanded to a couple of days a week now. It more or less costs nothing to run. It costs about 50 quid a month or something. And to be honest, I just pay that because it's on stuff that I can't predict. Like, so there was one about a month ago where there was an abnormal amount of homeless people and the food went. So I just went to Tesco and just like, it's like supermarkets, but and stuff like that. So, and it's good, like, I find it fulfilling. It was a weird one where when we started it, I think part of the reasons that, apart from wanting to do something which costs nothing to do, I think part of the reason for starting for me was I've got terrible work-life balance, like, because I love work, I just find myself working all the time. I've got dodgy knees, so I can't play football anymore, which has always been the sort of hobby of that. So I kind of started it as a hobby, and all I've done really is that making work. So, but yeah, I love it.
You enjoy it?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
And how does that, so running a business that's obviously growing and at the same time, I suppose, starting its own. Is it a registered charity? Because it's not.
No,
it's just a brand.
Nobody's changing it.
So then, does it self-manage itself, or
kind of now? We've got, to be honest, the first sort of 6 months were a bit of a disaster where we was in Piccadilly Gardens and it was like 5 nights every week. It was that part of town was just not a great place to put something like that. So we moved it to the cathedral. One of the few sort of street kitchens in Manchester that have the council support. And it's become now, we've worked really hard to make a good atmosphere, so it's almost like a social for homeless people. If there's a busker there, we'll get to play. They only play Wonderwall for some reason. Some guy played Wonderwall 5 times at the trot last week. We were all like, play again. It's like, I'm going to go back. Just stop us. So yeah, it's one of them. You can runs itself. Quite a lot of Tuna Fish help out. Got
Busker's not going to make much money in it.
Yeah, no, but they'll go busk in town and then they'll pick up some food on the way home.
Right.
If they homeless. So and like this guy who was a trumpet,
the guy that stands outside the Southern Lex.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Okay, so do you? I mean, the people that you employ, that you're working with, the team that you're building.
Yeah.
How much does what you're doing with not just soup and the ethos you've got make a decision on the people that come, either from them wanting to come or from you choosing A over B and C?
We do like look for it in interviews. To be honest, it's a bit of a weird thing where contributing to the community is pretty broad. So like we've got people in the office who, instead of using that time we give them to do charity stuff, they'll do like professional organisations like the regional on a regular basis. Still contributes to the community really somewhere that makes sense.
I suppose it's that giving back to whatever they're giving means to you.
Yeah. That's I'm not really into imposing what I want to do.
I think one of the things I've noticed is, and it's the same with whatever you're doing, when you say to someone, you should be doing that, or that's really good, but it's not really good to you.
Yeah.
And someone might go, especially if you're the boss, okay, yeah, I'll do that, but if they hate you doing it, won't do it.
It's quite funny because we've got mates in the homeless community. You see the same people every week, and we're moving office at the minute, so lawyers coming to like sort out the leads or whatever. I was walking through town with them, it's like, stand up, free homeless, not a show. Couldn't let you.
Okay. So from It's really clear that homelessness is rising. One of the things that we've been trying to do, and that we do here every single week, every single month, sorry, we're picking something on the UN Global Goals. And it's not just in Manchester either, it's becoming a global problem, but it's also heavily in the UK for a multitude of reasons. I'm interested to see, from your perspective, with your broad range of experience you've had, what do you think are the contributing factors towards the rise right now in homelessness?
Yeah, I think before going into that quickly, I think from a sort of solutions point of view, it's going to take a massive financial investment to sort out. But I think the question is where that financial investment comes from. So the only country in the world where it's gone down over the last 5 years is Finland.
Is that where they built a whole city?
Yeah, well, it's a couple of blocks. So Helsinki is like, has anyone been? It's really beautiful.
I'm from Finland.
Oh, are you? Yeah. So I went last year and I absolutely love it. I'm going back next year to do the Northern Lights. That's sorry, we'll talk later. And that basically what they did was it's basically got housing first. So they bought a couple of flat blocks. If you're homeless, they'll put you in a house. But then essentially what comes with that is each flat block will have 10, 12 people who are working on it with like mental health support, drug support, counselling and stuff like that. So you're kind of getting everything under one roof. And I think like it's, for me, it's the only really thing that works. In answer to your question, I think there's two problems really. First one's affordable housing. Every time I walk through Manchester, I can see new flats being built. They're not starting it.
Yeah.
They're starting at least 200 grand, you know what I mean? Which is a bit of a joke. Secondly, mental health. So like we've spoke about this in the past, like I've always had problems with anxiety. About 2 years, maybe 3 years ago, I tried getting some support on the NHS. I went, it took like 8 weeks to have an appointment. I got put on a course and that started 20 weeks later. By the time the course started, I felt great. I felt genuinely great, but you did it anyway, and did like learn stuff from that really helped me out. But then if you think about it, trying to get on that when you're not getting addressed, and like meeting these guys and getting to know them, like their mental health becomes far out of straight line. We're not talking anxiety, we're talking depression, schizophrenia, psychosis, because the environment. And there's no mental health support. It's just one of those things where it is gonna. I know that we shouldn't be the answers to all problems, but.
And I think there's a dialogue as well. We were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, that sounds really cliche, calling it homeless people are people too. And where the mental health comes in sometimes is just knowing that you can talk to someone.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, and you don't even have to be homeless to have mental health issues. I think in business especially, and in heavy entrepreneurship, it's a very lonely thing. And sometimes you've got two business partners, but if you don't have people that you can fall back on to talk about things, you can impact everyone. And so when you're homeless as well, and you want no one you can talk to, and people are just walking past and not even treating you like just a human being, all of that, I imagine, just impacts it. So. Yeah,
and I think one of the things we do at Not Just Soup is, so like our sort of thing we say amongst each other is you can never really have enough volunteers on the night. So say we get 80 to 120 people each time, depending on the weather.
Volunteers?
No, homeless people. And we'll have 20 volunteers, and part of that, like, only a few of it, and between us and Greg will have 20 volunteers, and like, only a few are serving coffee or serving food. The rest are just talking to people, and like, a lot of the time it is an opportunity to vent. It's quite interesting that the soup kitchen was in the Guardian last weekend, making the point that you just made really. One of the homeless guys has decided to start calling himself the J Rayner of the streets and started food reviewing the restaurants to the faces most of the time, which is quite nice. You give someone a 5 out of 10 the other week, and I'm still behind them, she'll shut up and do it again. But like the Guardian did an article, just because they're homeless, like, doesn't mean you shouldn't be treated with dignity. I think the soup kitchen, the thing for me is kind of flawed at the minute, because it is outside. It's outside the cathedral. I think long term, sort of where I want to get to it is restaurant quality food. Food's amazing. I want it as close as to restaurant quality service. Why can't you come in, take a table like you guys over there? I'll bring the food to them instead of it's served in a plastic box. It's Manchester, it's raining. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, and I think that brings the, let's say, human element back to the experience. It's the little things that make the big difference. Me and Christina know someone called Pauline, and she is the mum of someone who's a lot of work with the one they're in. And for years, she's known by all the people, all the homeless people in Manchester, and all she does every day, every other day, she just goes around and all she gives people is socks and boiled sweets. And that doesn't solve the problem at all. It's not fixing anything, but it's the little things that make a huge difference in the people's lives. And at the same time, she uses it as a vehicle, as a medium to just talk. She might spend an hour with someone just because that's needed to happen at that time. But that one pair of socks is the difference between here's some food and it's beautiful and we'll sit down. Again, it doesn't solve the problem, but it lightens everything a little bit more.
What's quite strange is I often have like a sort of internal battle of are we contributing to the problem? Technically, you're making people comfortable on the streets, and you know, like there has been episodes in Manchester where homes have been found for people who didn't like their lifestyle. But I think like the stuff happened for Craig, it's great. That they're trying to set up sort of a grassroots sort of mental health initiative for these people. If you pull that off, I think that's going to be an absolute game.
Yeah, I think they're in talks with Kirsty and the ones where they want to use this space to open a dialogue purely from the trauma perspective. To integrate people back into society, if that's what they choose to want to do, there's a whole journey of releasing of all sorts of baggies that have been captured over the years, and that needs to happen because there's a big gap between where people are at the minute and where society is. And that's making an assumption that where society is the pinnacle of how it should be.
Yeah, I do think it's only going to get worse though. I think like pretty much just felt it for another sort of 4 or 5 years of staring at the numbers of it. You've seen it over the last year through Manchester. I think it's going to get worse.
Well, that puts us at a good point because as I started, this is about contributions, it's about communication. So you're in nice little groups of tables. If you guys want to share together or jump on, we're going to pause for 5 minutes, just break off into freezer fours, have a chat about what we've just spoken about so far amongst yourselves. We'll just go up with a question each, and then on the table we'll look for picking the best questions and just have a chat about it. So break up into freezer fours, and we'll convene.
I'm reining it in.
So that's actually the thing, instead of giving money to somebody, find food. I'm hungry, I haven't eaten anything. So, well, I'll take bottles of wine. And I start my fights. Like shopping. So 7 years. Eventually we went to see
Okay, guys, last minute, just get your questions. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, so I hope you done something wonderful on that, sharing. What I would like to ask now is who's brave enough to share their first question. We'd like to ask something or either of us.
Yeah, we've got 3 questions between us, so you can tell us which is the rubbish and the I'm sure answer. Yeah. So the first question is like, we like the idea of the street kitchen.
Yeah.
So one of the questions was, the people who are helping you with it, like the restaurants and stuff, do they expect something else? But like, isn't it containers, forks, plastics, stuff? So everyone has to donate something, so whether it be high-vis jackets. So are the people expecting you to say something like, we can put the tweet out, also say that we helped out with this? So that's like one question.
To be honest, we have used Twitter as a sort of massive angle to get restaurants involved.
Oh, right.
Not just to Manchester, but if you just want to follow it on Twitter. And basically, we do make people aware of who's on that evening. And basically, what's kind of happened is it's grown. So there's 35 restaurants involved in Manchester now. A lot of restaurant owners seem to know each other. And it's kind of, if you're not involved, so it's kind of got to that. One of the things that we're trying to do now over the sort of next 6 months, which is quite interesting, they've done a really good job engaging the restaurants, and the restaurants actually love it when it's their turn. They bring the staff down, the staff get involved. The one thing that we've not done or done really badly is engaging the restaurant audience. It's something we're working on. 2 ideas I've got really. The first one is because not just soup doesn't really need money. I'd love it if we could raise some money for Coffee for Craig. And one of the things we've come up with is like, do you know when you're in a restaurant and you have like the little triangle things that are on the table? We're going to do something like that, which is like this restaurant supports not just soup on one side. But if you want to support, text a £5, a £1, whatever to this, then it'll go to Coffee for Craig and they can start putting that towards bed, getting people in beds and stuff. And then the second thing I want to do is we're going to try and rush it out in time for Christmas, but we're going to do a cookbook where each restaurant submits a recipe, and it'll be a nice little book, be a good gift for people, and then the cash from that will go for Coffee for Craig as well. So like the restaurants, to answer your question, like we do get tweets and stuff out of it, but I think now we just enjoy doing it. I think the next challenge is each of these restaurants have got a big audience. How do you kind of get general awareness, which is something that always
that was David's question, like how can you further incentivize future people? What you mentioned, like the people at the restaurants that aren't doing it, like what's all the other ones are, so we want to be part of this. And I suppose they might get a bit of commercial out of it, but I suppose that's part of the game. If they're in that book you mentioned, the recipe book, of course the logo will be in the book to show that they're part of this. Yes, I'm sure they're doing a good thing, but there's a commercial aspect. And I think the last question we had was, do any of these other things you mentioned exist in Finland? Do we have any shelters in Manchester at the moment?
Yeah, there is a couple. I think.
I'll only answer which questions you want.
Yeah, I'll answer. Times like this, I'll answer. I need to answer. I think. There is shelters in Manchester. I think the truth is there's not enough of them there. So, what's quite interesting at the minute is no one actually knows how many homeless people there are in Manchester. Like, the council released their official figures last year. They got like absolutely ridiculed by everyone because I think it was like 50 or 40. And essentially, how they count it is on one night a year they walk up and down the streets. They physically count. But in my eyes, there's sort of 3 layers to homelessness, and we'll feed all 3. So it's the first one, which is the rough sleepers, they're in a doorway, the most at risk. The second one, which is the one that everyone struggles to put a figure on. I read recently that the figure somewhere between 400 and 3,000, which is a big gap, is hidden homeless, and that can be anything from, there's quite a lot that are in sort of warehouses and raincoats that have not been used, right through to sleeping on someone's couch or whatever, technically not got home. And then the third one is they've managed to be placed somewhere, but they've sort of still below the poverty line, just feed them anyway. I think, in answer to your question, is yeah, there is these sort of places, but I think everything's at sort of very important. It is going to something. Someone needs to find some advice.
I like the idea that you mentioned about the trifold leaflets and get the audience engaged, because
Yeah.
the audience feel good because they feel like the restaurant that they're at is contributing to the community, which you like, I go to that restaurant, and it's also an opportunity for me to think, actually, I'd like to maybe do a fiver or give them a fiver or do something, and it's, I suppose it's just a challenge, but it's a really
yeah. I think for me, it's almost the closest to I've come up with a solution where, as we said before, it is going to take some sort of financial investment to sort this out to get beds. What if you think, so 35 restaurants involved at the minute, how many people are going through their doors each week? And there is like a donate cash to this, that money's going to total up eventually. And then there is the opportunity to come and rent places if do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's sort of a big one.
It's a sort of a personal question to listen to that. Is this some way of dealing with the underlying mental health issues? So I sort of feel like maybe people become homeless because of mental health problems, and then they have this lifestyle. I spoke to somebody and they get placed and they're very isolated, in a flat, and they're not actually getting the support, so then they drift back into being homeless. And this is not a pitch for the charity I'm working for because it's in Cumbria, but it's like something, it's called Growing Well, and people work growing on the land and they've got mental health problems. I just wondered if you could have something in Manchester, not necessarily that model, where it was kind of helping them with the reasons why they're actually
I think some people are looking at a similar model, to be honest, at the minute. One of the ideas I had, which when I actually explored it, it was just like stuck in red tape, was there's 3 quite big universities in Manchester, if you count Salford, and they've all got sort of courses which are getting mental health workers out of them. Is there not a way that while them students are learning, they can be applying them skills to homeless people?
Like the free dentistry school.
Yeah, essentially the same thing, but I think because it is mental health, there's massive red tape.
You need kind of both. You need housing, but then once they're in this housing, you need something to help them.
That's it. I think
they're separate, because you can't not be housing and trying to go to.
It's really difficult in the UK as well, because you've got loads of people. If you ask 100 people on the street, would you like to contribute more? General sweeping statement, I would imagine most people would say yeah. I think my personal belief of human beings is we love to help. That's why you say the words, can you help me? Everyone who wants to help, whether you kind of can't see the thing. Yeah. And it'd be really good to find a way to connect, to find a vehicle to just bring in the people that just need some help, and that might just be a chat. Yeah. With people that have got a bit of time. The problem is, the minute you put that terrible brand is mental health, I try not to use it too much. It's real big. It's got massive stigma. But ultimately, it's a form of trauma. It's a form of something that we've got down. All of us carry it in varying degrees, and it needs to come up more. The way the UK is, as soon as you bring that brand in, that name, oh no, you can't. You've got your accreditations, you've got this, you've got that, because if you do it wrong, you'll cause these problems. And the minute you bring that in, you limit the amount of help you can do.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think mental health is like physical health. Like, I think we've all got physical health. I think we've all got mental health. and at a certain point you go up and down the scale. If a homeless guy broke his leg, he's going to get sorted out. And I think it's like the same sort of thing. Like why sort of mental health stuff, you know? But and I don't think that with mental health, I don't think it's just homeless people. I think that mental health in general seems to get overlooked. I think that stigma is sort of changing.
Well, it's being talked about.
It's being talked about more.
Which is the start of something.
Yeah, but it is an interesting one. I think, like, literally, the key to like solving homelessness, I think, like Finland, have kind of got to sort of like get a roof over their head, and then whilst that's happening, get people dealing with. I'm not a mental health nurse, so I don't know what happens, but do you know what I mean?
Well, sometimes I think mental health is part of your own mental health things if we were on the streets
Oh,
and
yeah,
job
of course,
that looked us here, you know.
It takes some tough cookies.
And also the trauma that we've all got. I don't know. I just think it.
I think the big change what happened with Finland, it's really interesting, is that the council, the government, whatever you want to call it, so they went, all right, it's our problem. They actually accepted that this is something that needs sorting, because you look at so many different things any government might do or might try and do. If you go through so many years and it's not improving, if that was a business, if I came into my business and said, right guys, how are we getting on? Where were we 5 years ago? Here. Where are we now with the problem? Well, the problem's worse. Right, well, let's stop doing what we're doing and try something else. And it sounds so simple, but someone like Finland's done that. And okay, well, what's the biggest issue? If we get them in a building, that will help. Right, well, let's spend some money, buy that, bring them in, and hopefully start to see a shift in change.
What was quite interesting was there was a town in America, I can't remember where it was, but they worked out the price that a homeless person costs per year on sort of emergency services, be it medical, police, or whatever. They say it worked out at $18,000. It worked out that they could house them for like $10,000. They didn't go as far as doing the mental health stuff, but that massively reduced it as well. And I think like it's going to take a complete mind shift, you know what I mean? But it's an interesting one.
The more we talk about it, the easier it is.
Yeah, and I think what I personally like about the restaurant thing that we just talked about then is I don't think these ideas are going to come from government. I think it's going to come from sitting in a room like this, and every now and again somebody catches fire, doesn't it? If like there's so many restaurants in Manchester, they're opening new restaurants every day, which means they're full. There's money to be made from that, and then used to whatever. And then basically what happens is once you've raised some money, government wakes up and goes, oh well, the public put this amount to it, we want their value. So yeah.
And that's how once you've got an idea, one of the things we push is sharing information. In this room right now, we're not going to have time to do it today, but on your tables is opportunity knocks. And it's a really simple way, whether you think you're here for networking, or you're here to learn, or you're here to share, and is it Pete or Paul, sorry? Pete, who didn't really know I was here, but he knew he wanted to start to explore stuff, yeah? It's putting something down on this sheet, and we'll be using them in future. Says, look, this is what I can give, this is what I'd like, and this in the future is where I'd love to be. And it's facilitating that process so that if you don't really put your hand up and speak to people, we're just going to get it right out in the open to begin with, and they'll be on the wall. And whether you like talking to people or not, you can stare at the wall and go, you know what, I can do that. And it might be someone's got a really good idea for something that can make a difference, but doesn't know this aspect of it. And the opportunity not to enable the dialogue without people having to spend all night going around necessarily formally networking with each other. I want to see if there's any other questions out in the room. Peter?
Can I just ask one? Because I think it's amazing to hear.
Yeah.
The enthusiasm, that the issue, it's such a massive issue of homelessness. It's brilliant. I'm just wondering, like in a business perspective, how do you see it as an integral part of your business, or do you see it as a separate thing, kind of juggling both? And if you do, like how do you let one not overtake the other?
Yeah, what's quite interesting, I do see them as a separate part, but kind of everyone in the team gets involved. Like I've been in meetings all day today, so someone who doesn't actually volunteer on the Tuesdays, organising the restaurant, open pubs and all that sort of stuff. So they do kind of overlap. But it's just one of the things. It's just a part of life. I know that every Tuesday night I'm with people,
suppose you do something enough times, it's like someone saying, how do you find time to go to the gym? You don't.
I mean, I still can't work that one out. Yeah, it's one of the, I do enjoy it. It's a bit of a weird way. I do enjoy it. I'm just interested. Like before we started it, I knew homelessness, and now I'm finding myself reading about it every day. If that makes sense. One thing that is really interesting, if anyone does want to help out in homelessness in Manchester, is a great website called Street Support. Is
that the app?
Yeah, it's a website or app or run by two people who are doing like amazing work, and essentially, say you're talking to a homeless person in Manchester, you can go on it. It's just launched in Leeds as well. You can go on it, and all the services are there. So say it's Thursday night, 8 o'clock. You can tell them where to go for clothes, for food, for whatever. But what works on the other side is, if you feel like you do want to get involved, time, skills, or whatever, there's a list where you go on it, you just say what you're interested in. And basically what they've done is everyone who's working in homelessness in Manchester brought it together in one app. And you might go, I want to mentor a homeless person, and then they'll make that happen for you. Or I want to cook, or whatever. So if anyone is interested, there's a lot of stuff to get involved in.
Cool. Any other questions? Table at the back. Anything that came up from your discussions?
Not so much a question, but I've seen it about Wellspring before.
Yeah.
There's another one in Stockport, through Wellspring in Stockport, home called P3. Molly Bishop is probably the best person to speak to. And they basically from homeless to getting into a hostel or straight into a housing. And if you've not got any issues whatsoever, it's anything from mental health to physical to filling out forms, it's there.
That's great.
It's always on call.
Is that run by the council or is it private?
Well, they couldn't get the funding off the council, so can't get the funding off Stockport Council, but they're forwarding it through Stockport Homes.
Right, okay.
And then apply for it that way. So some sort of electrical triangle of money going on.
I think this is part of the problem with a lot of the stuff like this. Like you do have to jump through hoops. So like we was essentially told that we couldn't do it. But we just, I'm sometimes a believer in it's better to ask for beg for forgiveness and ask for permission. Yeah. Like there's loads of people that are trying to get stuff off the ground. It's just like,
yeah. Excellent. Any other questions? Real good.
I found that really fascinating, and for me it's kind of indicative of the potential that businesses have to really make a difference.
Yeah.
And you're just one business and you're making this much difference. But I meet businesses every day, and I think businesses sometimes get a bit of a bad rep. The business people are seen as sort of little Mr. Burns's sitting there just rubbing their hands and only caring about profit. And I meet people that come in really dapper suits and ties, and they look amazing and they say, it's been awful, I've gone past all these homeless people, I don't know what to do. I've actually had that conversation with people from law firms, and so as a business community, I think there's quite a lot of passion for making the Northwest a great place to live and work. And if you talk about a business community and use words like that, people actually respond really well. So my question is, more broadly, what could business do as a community to make a difference, rather than one business? But it's all coming together.
I think it's a really interesting question. I think I completely agree with you. I think if you're a business person and you want to make money and you're not interested in charity stuff like that, that's fine, that's your decision. So like one of my friends is a business owner and literally all he cares about is business owners. But like the more sort of conversations we're having at the minute, we're quite fortunate where Tuna Fish profiles are amazing. We get loads of businesses, law firms, accountants, whoever get in touch with us. And I think for me, it's having that central hub of the community. So it is a business community, but I think when, say you are a law firm and you go, we want to do some charity, where do you start? Do you know what I mean? There's a million charities.
They want money,
a million profit. Yeah, and I think, especially in homelessness, I think street support is really good. So I reckon I probably get 3 to 4 emails a week from various businesses saying, look, we've seen the homeless stuff you're doing, we want to do something, what can we do? So because there is a community, I just direct them there, and then, so I know a legal firm from Spinningfields who they've been painting a homeless shelter today. They've not done a good job. They've been doing it, they need to cope, but
they got someone there that's critiquing it. Guys, but you missed a bit.
But and I think the other thing is like I think there's a massive opportunity for skill to use people's skills from their jobs. So like being a homeless puts you in a really weird legal situation. If lawyers want to help in that sense, do you know what I mean? You don't have to come and feed people with us. Like if people's trying to get a home or a job and you can't because of the situation, then help them. I think is so. What I would say is like street sport. Did you literally go and have a look tonight? You can see what people need. You've got a skill, you can fill the gap.
I think to add on to that as well, like that's one of the things that's driven us to push and do this. Is there's so many businesses that are making. Well, obviously, you've got to make money to be a business. That's the bottom line. It took me years to fully realise that. I spent years trying to help and give, and sometimes not tending to our own baby.
Yeah.
You've got to make money to survive a business. You either reach a stage where you want to do more, like the guy that you walk past that's probably maybe recently been thinking that more and more, that walking past homeless people, what can I do? And some people, especially younger generations now, I met a girl the other week and she's refusing to work. She's going into different companies and she's looking, as she described it, for food towers, innocent smoothies. In the sense of an essence of what she's looking to get. She's like, I don't want a drinks company, but I want a company that's caring about its environment. So you've got people that are been in it for years, and people that are coming into it. And I think there's something else, stepping back from just fixing a problem, just having a dialogue, knowing that you're not on your own, wanting to care, wanting to contribute. And I think in legal professions or insurance, lawyers, solicitors, I apologise if I'm sweeping it, but I imagine the more older industries are harder to shift that attitude, perhaps, than a more fresher, younger, quicker moving industry. I don't know if you find that when you're out there or not.
I think the sort of danger for me is CSR for the sake of CSR's sake. Do you know what I mean? Like, every business is doing something charity, we need to as well.
I have a problem really with lawyers going into rooms and painting walls. I mean, what a complete waste of time.
Yeah,
Painting's crap.
That actually needed doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then all these poor homeless people having to sit in crappily painted rooms. I mean, I just think there's got to be a structure that we can find. And I'm actually speaking to somebody at the moment about the potential of getting small groups of business leaders together just to do a volunteering day, but not that kind of day. Maybe this kind of thing. So certainly meeting people. I think they're quite influential people potentially, and then, it's possible that they're having conversations at the right levels, and we could actually make a difference in that way. But I think maybe we have to start small. But perhaps you and I.
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing we did do was take a bit back on the response. So the soup kitchen, there was a soup kitchen the day before Christmas Eve last year. And there's a restaurant called Bistro in Spinningfields. Has anyone been? He cooked off like a full Christmas dinner. He came dressed as Santa. It was amazing. The guy, the chef. And we did this Christmas dinner, but basically what we said the week before was we put out to businesses, look, there's going to be about 100 homeless people. It's almost like a shoebox club, without a shoebox. Like, can you get a drawstring bag and just fill it with a couple of things they might need? Yeah. So it was like, we did like a little straw over to the homeless people that are there, and the two things that they always want are wind-up torches, the battery don't go in and we need a torch, people on the streets, and like a radio, which I would have never guessed in a million years. So like,
so it's to keep 103 to try and find you.
Traffic and travel, and so basically we ended up with I think we got like 85 different businesses, and then it was the gifts that were really nice. It was just like small useful stuff. So I think that people do want to get involved in that sort of community based. It's just like that was kind of a one-off. Do you know what I mean? How do you keep that momentum?
Putting it as part of your DNA rather than CSR, isn't it? And then difference in the long run.
I And it also needs someone to orchestrate. It's like anything, even when it's a group of friends. So, let's go on holiday to X.
Yeah.
Who's going to step forward, organise it? And that's just friends trying to do something. I think on a bigger scale, brilliant that you're talking to people. It just needs sometimes. I always believe that whatever thing needs to happen, it'd be brilliant to live in a utopian world where everyone just contributes and it works. The reality is we don't. Everything needs to kind of run like a business. Someone or a group of people have got to go, right, this is what we're doing. And then people go, okay, what do you hope to do? You need that dialogue sometimes, someone to lead, someone to follow. Some people are just happy to just give a bit of time, and then it will start to move and to muster. Once it's got a bit of momentum, then people can plug in and fit in, but it always needs that spark.
You've seen from Manchester in branching before, they obviously raise for community groups, but they do a thing when they go into businesses as well. And their sort of challenge at the minute is trying to make communities sort of self-functional, and they'll sort of manage themselves. So what they'll do is they came into us and they were like, look, what are your interests and where do you live to each member of staff? They've got 20,000 community groups, and like, there was a guy who lives in Reddish who has always wanted to do football coaching. And we were like, oh well, we've got a community group which is like 200 yards away from where we live, so we just laugh now. And I think that's quite interesting. It's obviously not homeless based, but I think that could work. But I kind of feel like you need everyone in the business to sort of semi-buy into it, if that makes sense. Because I kind of think if you're the only one doing it, you're going to drop it.
I think people would buy into it at different levels.
I think people have got different skills and interests, haven't they?
But I think a lot of businesses changing right now. A lot of taking the business side of it, the world in general is changing. What consumers are demanding from companies, from manufacturers. I mean, it's shifting so much and so quickly, and I see it more. There's a little bit older, maybe some consumer doesn't see it as much. And I imagine if I spot someone who's been in business for 50 years compared to where business was in 1970, 1980, 60, compared to where it is now, it's all attitudes are changing. Yeah. People are going, why should I buy from you? And that's been seen more and more in Christina talked about it, more retail-driven businesses, definitely. Less as much in a manufacturer that makes widgets. But I think getting people to buy into it, you say, we're a business, and we're going to do what we normally do, but at the same time, we're going to, in a way, experiment. We're going to take some of our time, and we would like to do this, and you might start with going, we need 5 people, we need 2 people.
Yeah.
Because I don't think everyone buys into to begin with, but ultimately, at heart, given the opportunity, or especially if they've never done it, the minute someone contributes and gives, for no reason other than to just give, I would argue that people will come away from that feeling fulfilled, because the woman that did end-of-life care for 15 years, 10,000 people, she wrote a book, it was about this thick, and she said after 15,000 people on the deathbed, without exception, everyone says the same 10 things, or out of 10 things, and none of them are, I wish I worked more, I wish I made more money. It never comes out. It's always the same 10, and she urged people and implored people to say, look, statistically, this is what you will say when you die. So start making that change now, and growth, learning, receiving information, and contribution with some of the top ones that were on there. That's why I think at heart, if you got people involved, then the minute they did it, you touch a part of them they've never felt before. That's what I think.
The thing that was really inspiring, and I would like to be more. Was I think the thing is that we do need to sort of start building this community stuff now, because the way technology is going, like a lot of people over the next 10, 20 years are going to put out work by tech, and then this stuff's going to be really deep. Do you know what I mean? I kind of feel like we need to start building about it now, instead of that happening. Because that's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, this is not a cheeky plug, but it works quite nicely. Next month for our events, we're bringing John Masters, who's starting one of the UK's first AI and VR international meeting platforms, and also that you don't have to go to events anymore. There's a person at the event wearing VR headsets, so you can just put, I suppose VR cameras, you can be anywhere you want, put your glasses on, and you're at the event. And he'll go and he'll interact with people, and
it sounds like the start of Terminator.
But it's gaining massive momentum. We were somewhere a few weeks ago talking, it was a debaters club, and we talked about singularity and emergence of AI and human brains. And when that particular topic came up, someone went, well, it doesn't matter anyway, this is all Star Trek, it's not going to happen. And the other half were like, it's happening right now. And so you're completely right that I think the dialogue with communities, we've forgotten how to live in community. We can't resolve our own conflicts. We trust governments to do that, and they do a particular job of doing that. So I think bringing that essence back into going, look, technology isn't going away. It's not going
I think like, even on the sort of driverless cars, they're being tested now. They're 5 years tops, in my opinion. Any job that involves driving, there's not really taxi drivers anymore. So that's a lot of people out there. And you've got all the people in sort of factories like doing robots and stuff. And I kind of feel like then what happens, you know what I mean? For all those people. Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
excellent. All right. Well, thanks.
I feel like we was doing really inspiring. Just before we end, I've sort of gone. Just before you all go.
Unfortunately, it's a bit of fun, but this is why having an open dialogue. Try to put it back. Having an open dialogue is the beginning, because if you don't, all you have is behind closed doors. You swore it, didn't you?
Yeah, I swore twice now.
Good. So all you have behind closed doors is bitching them on, like we do in government. And again, it's one of these jobs that I wouldn't want anyone to have a single sole responsible job of being able to solve problems to sort homelessness. It's not going to get solved by one person. I imagine what happened in Finland behind the scenes, like any successful business, is 10 years in the making. Will have been a lot of arguing, a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of decisions to be made about, okay, is this the right thing? And it might not be. But I stand up to anyone that tries something.
Yeah, what's quite interesting about Finland, part of it was necessity. Like, it is really cold, like, you're from there. It's like, it's cold, so we have to get this, like, yeah, it's beautiful, but it's cold. And I think, like, why in the UK does everything have to get to necessity before we do something about it? Yeah. I was looking at you for it.
I was digging deep. We're not blind. So, okay, we'll wrap it up now. For now, I want to give a round of applause for Sam. We do put these on to bridge that gap between talking about business, being impact driven, being purpose driven, whether it's about learning about where we're going in the future or where people have been. It's, with all due respect, it isn't about Sam being here. Sam came because he has a story to share and he's got information to share, and it impacts everybody in every walk of life. These conversations have to happen. Last month we talked about education. I mean, who thinks education needs to change? Yeah, everybody has got can see it, and I think governments do their best at it, but it's going to change because businesses decide that they've had enough. With the CSR thing, sometimes that's driven because they really care. Yeah. Sometimes it's driven for the numbers. Ultimately, as long as people are doing something, that's good. Let's make sure there's more heart in it. And so we do this every single month to just bring some people together and say, look, here's some people, here's some things that we want to do. And hopefully, you create the scene, what's the field of dreams, build it and they will come, put it on a wall and maybe someone will help and contribute with it. Can't mind a cheesy comment.
Yeah, that was a really strange reference.
So behind Sam's head is a picture of the ones we're in. I always say thank you because these guys charge a lot of money to corporates because this keeps them going. This is a creative wellness centre, and they do it to us on a dime because they love what we're trying to do. I want to give a big thanks to Sam's face. It's behind there with Tuna Fish Media.
Do you know what's quite funny about that is, so we got some new headshots for the website, and you come back and we Photoshop your ear off because it looked weird. So like one ear is like less weird than two. I'll forever look at it. Yeah, it's bizarre. Like, I did it for empty idea the other day. Like, she put that in the slides and I was like,
the other way.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Yeah. Weird.
A big thanks to Sam. Thanks to Claire, who is the regional director for the IOD. They helped to introduce us to a whole other huge business community. And what they do for business across the whole of the UK is phenomenal. And we're very honoured and privileged to be able to partner with them. There's a little bit more quirky monthly event as well. And again, it's bridging that gap between social impact and at the same time business, and finding a way that we can have a dialogue. So we wouldn't partner with anyone else as wonderful as the IOD on that basis. And to Entrepreneurs Institute, who we haven't discussed today, but this event is the brainchild of Roger Hamilton, global futurist, and everything he does is about creating purpose-driven impact on the planet. So they're the 4 things I would say thank you today. I was going to say thank you to Phil, who diligently comes to our events and helps us film, because it's with this piece of marketing that we put together, and with Sam and Roses as well, that we reach more people. So our next events are the first Thursday of every month. Thursday, the 3rd of August is the next one, which is VR and AI. We'll be having live demonstrations of HoloLens, various other quirky things which are coming. Some of them you'll be aware of, some of them you will think you're in Star Trek. If you're interested, Google old people watching VR, and you'll find out if you're one of the few people whose brain is associated with how the world is, and if you put VR on, you might make you feel a bit sick. Younger people put VR on and their brains can differentiate it into a different world. And old people especially can't. So they'll be on roller coasters and physically feel like they're on roller coasters. It is a little bit, yeah. Which leads us on to a whole other discussion. So VR next month, August the 3rd. We do have food tonight. People are hungry. You're welcome to stay for the next hour. So we've got some gorgeous soup. It's a couple of quid. $3.50 soup with some wonderful local made bread. You're welcome to stay there. I will be staying for the next hour, and I will welcome you to get involved in every job. So thank you very much. A round of applause to all. Well, I know I just did a lot. That's what I do. I mean, I became a business trainer 60 years ago. And I absolutely love that. I did. Teach. And I've been working out for a couple of years. Well, a few months ago.
Yeah, more interesting.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. Well, the thing is, I always exactly.
people actually, on the one hand, it's socially responsible, or else we might be a bit cynical about it.
Yeah, I've left my collared suit out there as well.